Hey everyone, VVV Ruff here, bringing you TvT Terran Bio Micro. I'm going to be introducing a video where you're going to be using a couple units against other Terran opponents. The first video I'm going to show you is going to introduce 3 Marines versus 3 Marines. And I'm going to show you why it's important to keep your Marines together, because if you try to stagger your Marines and attack, the opponent will have the upper hand because they're going to get more damage off. So when you're playing a mirror match, it's important to have units together rather than separating them. The only time you want to separate units is usually when you're going to be doing any kind of splitting. So here I'm going to keep my units all together, and when I attack, I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to hit A and click on all the Marines at once. That way I target one Marine at a time. This will actually reduce your numbers when you're playing against Terran. So as you can see here, 3 Marines versus 3 Marines, and 2 of the Marines live when you do that. In this scenario, I'm going to show you how to use 2 Marauders versus 6 Marines when you have concussive shell. In this situation, I'm going to show you what happens when you don't micro. When you don't micro, you'll notice that out of the 6 Marines that you fought against, only 1 died, which economically is extremely huge when it comes to the opponent's army. So what you have to do here is you need to kite back, as you can see with the Marauders. So when you're kiting back, you kind of want to keep them together so that your Marauders don't split up. And it's a little hard because the Marauders have 7 range and the Marines have 5 range. So no matter what you do when you're microing, you are going to get attacked. But what you do is you just kind of kite and use the Marauders that have more HP once one Marauder gets too low, and kind of keep fading back and forth and microing. So as you can see, by doing that, both the Marauders almost dead, but they both did live. Okay, in this situation, I'm going to show you what happens when you have 7 Marines versus 4 Marauders. Now, it's easier for the enemy opponent to win because you really don't have that many units. But you can actually take advantage of that by shift clicking and still targeting down 1 unit at a time. So as you see here, I'm going to go ahead and stim and focus on 1 Marauder at a time. So by doing that, out of the 7 Marines, you'll notice that only 4 survive, but that is actually huge in any kind of macro game that you play, or when you're doing any kind of pressure. Okay, in this situation, I'm going to show you 6 Marines versus 4 Hellions. Now, Hellions are technically better than Marines, but in larger numbers, Marines actually do better than Hellions. As you can see here, I'm using a smaller resource count when fighting this Terran opponent. So, as you can see, all the Hellions destroyed the Marines, but that's due to splash damage. But if you technically split your Marines up, and then you attack from a flank and try to target fire the Hellions, you'll notice that you'll lose a lot less, and you'll actually take out the opponent's Hellions with minimal damage. So out of the 6 Marines, 4 Marines live against 4 Hellions, which is pretty huge in any kind of game. Here there's going to be 2 tanks versus 2 Marauders and a Marine. Now when 2 Marauders and a Marine engage, technically the army value of the 2 tanks are going to win, but there are some very slight advantages that you can use when engaging opponents by just kind of pulling back a unit that's about to die and then pulling it forward real quick, kind of like whipping the unit back. So as you can see there, even though I lost my army, I was able to take out both tanks. Here I'm going to show you 3 Reapers versus 4 Hellions. Now the Reapers will win if you split them up, but if you don't split them up, they'll take splash damage, as you've seen there. So what you want to do is when you engage, you want to kind of split them up and then target 1 Hellion at a time. So I'm going to shift click here, and when one of the Hellions are about to die, or actually, excuse me, one of the Reapers are about to die, you kind of just whip it back. So when the unit can only take about 1 more hit, you kind of pull it back, and then it'll redirect damage to the other units on your team. So here I'm going to show you how to kind of break a siege line. Technically, if Terran opponents just rush right in, they're going to lose all of their units. As you can see, like absolutely no tanks died there. But if you split up and kind of like split micro when you attack and kind of focus fire the tanks down, you'll actually take a lot of the tanks out with minimal damage, because tanks rely heavily on splash damage, which is if your units are grouped up, right? So here I'm going to show you 2 ghosts versus 2 marauders and 3 marines. Now, it's not very often that you do see ghosts, but a while back you could actually use ghost snipe ability to take out marauders a lot faster, because ghosts only do like 10 damage to marauders. So what you want to do is you want to kind of focus fire the marauders down with snipe and take out the marines with just a standard target fire. So here I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And when you use snipe, you want to hold shift and you want to repeatedly click R on the and left click on the unit to snipe continuously, as you can see. So by doing that, I was able to snipe continuously, take out the marine, and then snipe some more, take out the marauder. Okay, so here I'm going to introduce 5 marauders and 3 marines versus 2 Thors. Now, technically, the army value is a lot higher for the opponent with the Thors. So as you saw, no Thors went down in that engagement, but if you can target fire or isolate a Thor that's in the front at a time and kind of whip some of your marauders back forward when they're hurt, you'll notice that you'll be able to take out the enemy's Thors pretty easily. Okay, so here we're going to deal with marines and tanks. Now this is probably the most common situation that you would see in any kind of TvT matchup, is marines and tanks versus either just pure bio or just marine tank as well. So if you just straight up engage like I did there, you'll notice that your marine army is just going to disintegrate and die. But if you engage at a flank, you want to take out the marines first, because they're going to be in the front, especially if the tanks are sieged. So you only want to engage if you know you can take the opponent's army on by doing that. And then what you do is you split your marines forward so that they take splash damage, or so that they don't take splash damage. Kind of like as you've seen there. Okay, here I'm going to show you how to break another way to break a siege line with just a handful of bio units. As you saw there, the bio units just kind of just died off, because you technically don't have enough to take that out. But Terrans have the ability to call down mules. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call down the mules, let the tanks splash each other, and then go in and split my units off and engage. As you saw there, with just a handful of units, you could take out a pretty easy siege line if there are no marines as backup for the opponent. And in this situation, I'm going to show you how to deal with 4 marines and a banshee with just 5 marines and a ghost. So what you want to do here is, if your ghost dies and you run out of scan, you're going to run into a situation where all of your units are going to get picked off by a cloaked banshee. So what you want to do is you want to use EMP to get rid of the cloak. Now, it's not very often that you see this, but a while ago, when opponents go with any kind of ghost opening and they go banshees, you do want to use the EMP to get rid of the cloak ability. Alright guys, that's just this video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the forums and I'll get right to it. Alright, bye.